Welcome back to the channel. You just don't understand how awesome it feels that you press play and you continue to follow this journey. I don't take it lightly. I know you're busy, but the fact that you continue to press play because there's maybe a little bit of value I'm offering you, a little smidget of value, it's great. So what's going to happen in this video today is I'm going to talk about a conversation. I'm revisiting a conversation that I had with Mitch. I forgot what episode it was, but it was a few episodes back. And it was one question that he said. I didn't put this in the video, but there was one question that he said that really changed the game for me today, that really was very helpful for me today. And it was asking, what does the world need from me? What does the world need from me? So that's going to be in there. And then the other thing in this video is red flags. What do you do when you start to see, when you're going to into a partnership and you start to see some of those early red flags? What do you do? What do you do? I'll cover that as well. And the last thing, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was feeling overwhelmed. And check out what I do on like when I feel overwhelmed, what I do to help me not feel that anymore. So with that said, here we go. We had such an amazing day yesterday at the speed networking event. A lot of cool milestones, hit with the family, business-wise and everything. So it was a lot of fun, but one of the common themes that I saw when I was talking to the students is when I was asking them that $1 million question of what was it that led you to your major, to pick that specific major. One of the common themes is once I started to get underneath, everything else, started to notice that it usually comes from a situation that they may have experienced in their lives that led them to that. Which is really interesting because it reminds me of the book that I'm reading right now called Mastery, where he talks about in the beginning finding your life task. Finding your life task, and he proposes in the book that everyone has a task in life that is for them to complete. But not everybody finds it. And that's the issue. He's saying everyone has a life task, but not everyone finds it. And no matter what stage of life you're in, you can always go back to find that life task. And one of the things that he talked about, and what I was trying to get to in the speed networking event, is the fact that he talks about following your inclinations, especially from your youth. Because when you're a kid, you're doing things. I personally believe kids know who they are. That's my personal belief. Kids already know who they are. You have to listen to them and follow them to see where their life task has already taken them, and finding that balance of allowing them to discover it on their own and you guiding it. So following your inclinations, like for me, I had to rely on my 10-year-old self, the inclinations of my 10-year-old self. When me and my brother started our first business I think I was 10 or 11, he was 9 or 10 or something like that. We started our own baseball card shop in my parents' basement. That was an inclination. And the thing is, nobody taught us that. We just knew to do it. But somewhere along the line, and we didn't have a term for it. We didn't call it entrepreneur. We didn't have a fancy term for what we were doing. We were just doing it. And that is an inclination that I showed very early. Even my daughter now, like, she shows an inclination for business. She has her own business and she's become, very accomplished in a short amount of time. So one of the things I wanted to really drive home and just to bring to the attention of those students is, are they following their inclination? The inclinations of their youth. It doesn't always have to be just follow your passion. I know that's the pseudo the pseudo advice. Follow your passion, but it's not always that. It's not always you're following your passion. Sometimes it's about those inclinations, those things you're doing that no one taught you. That is your life task. So I just wanted to share that really quick. My arm is hurting from holding this, so I'm switching arms because I have my gym bag as well. So anyway, I'll talk to you later.
Going up.
Oh God. Whew. Whew, just finished my workout. Didn't I get the best? Didn't I get the best workout? Didn't get the best workout, mainly because I had to rush. Because I have a meeting coming up in an hour or so. But the truth is, I should have woke up a little bit. I should have woke up about a half hour earlier, because that would have gave me enough time to really get into the workout. But it wasn't as intense as I wanted to. I didn't get a chance to do as much cardio. I just had to fit something in, because something is always better than nothing. But the fact that I'm here, I'm in, that's a W. Like I said, there's never a downside coming here. There's never a downside. There's always an upside, and it compounds over time. And that's how you have to think about it. The work compounds over time. So, yep. So I'm about to prepare for my next meeting, which is at about 50 minutes, and I'll talk to you soon. As I'm prepping for this meeting, I can't stop thinking about a conversation I had with Mitch. I don't know if you saw the video. I think it was like 2 or 3 videos ago. Mitch and I were talking. I didn't capture this part in our conversation, but one thing he said that was really resonating with me now as I'm preparing for this next meeting. He said something what did he say? He said, ask what the world needs from you, rather than you asking what you need from the world. Let me say that again, because I'm still chewing on it, which is a good paradigm shift that I needed for this moment. Don't ask what the world needs from you. Don't ask what you need from the world. And it sounds simple and it sounds almost cliche in a lot of ways, but as I'm preparing for this meeting, for some reason that conversation with Mitch started to bubble up on how I should approach and move into this phase with this potential partnership here, and that's so profound, because now the mindset shift is, okay, what does the world need from me now? And it's like assessing the knowledge that you have, the network that you have, the education, the experience, the skills. All those things make up, your body of work, if you will, no matter what stage in your career you're at. But these things have been accumulated over time. And you're always offering them up into the world to unlock more value, basically, and ultimately capture that value as well, because you just don't want to unlock value, create value, but you don't capture any for yourself. That's a part. That's really a part of the game, and there's an art to that. There's really an art and a science to that. But on the art side of it, there's an art to go through those different phases of commerce, and developing a mastery in those different things. It's not an easy thing. It takes time, and it takes a lot of intention as well. So you have to go in. You have to have an intention, to develop that level of mastery, to the point where you can begin to ask that question of, what does the world need from me? What does the world need from me? And that's going to inform my conversation today, because it's going to begin to unravel and be clear to me once he starts talking. My antennas are going to be up to be listening, where I can apply my value set, which is the knowledge that I have accumulated, the applied knowledge and potential knowledge. I'll put two sides of that: the network, the education, the experience, and the skills. All of these things compound over time, and they're yours. No one can take that from you, and that's the beauty. No one can take that from you, because you earned the right to hold this value. So the question is what you do with it. That's always going to be, the question is how you apply it. So I thought I'd share that with you. That was it's bubbling as I was walking here, from the gym. That was echoing in my mind. What does the world need from me right now? Because also, I'm going to add this last piece to it. Also, when you think in those terms, because there's so much going on in the world, and we're getting so much more than we've ever gotten as far as news, and we can see into the lives of people in other countries and the turmoils and the crises that are going on. And this morning I was even thinking about this. It's not my responsibility to solve these big, major issues. Even in the hip hop world, you have this rap hip hop civil war. People are ganging up on each other, but it's not my role. Does the world need for me to fix these things? I'm not quite sure about that. So it really changed it, again, back to this idea of high quality content. It really changes the type of content that you consume, that it's signal. There's a difference between having consuming content that has really high signal, and then consuming content that is low signal, which is you have to be able to discern it, because even on a platform like Twitter, you do have very high signal content on there, and then you have probably more low signal, but you want to find the high signal content, and then begin to create that high signal content, So does the world need for me to answer these big things? And it makes it almost feel because it feels like it's so close to you. It feels like it's so close to you, because when you have all the chatter going on around certain topics or current events, you feel close to it. And that's just how it is. But it's not your responsibility to try to solve these problems. It's not even really your issue. You don't even know the people that's being talked about or discussed in these current events. And I'll be the first to admit, I put a lot of stock on a lot of these things, but now it's you have to dismiss it and really focus in, and you find more signal in that one question: what the world needs from me right this very moment. I think that question alone can unlock a path forward for you, especially if you're stuck. If you're in a stuck situation, you feel like you're in a rut. Mostly it's because we're very selfish, and we're looking in. We're looking internally into ourselves. and we're not looking out. And it's hard to look out because you're just dealing with your issues in that moment. But when you can get out of that rut and at least get a glimpse of what's going on externally outside of you, you can begin to ask that question. And then your day-to-day interactions now begin to reflect what the world needs from you. You know, and you have to develop that muscle. You just have to develop that muscle. That's not something that always comes natural. You have to develop that muscle. You got to continue to ask yourself that question. Maybe in another video, I'll talk about auto-suggestion. Self-talk. Let's make it really simple. Self-talk. Self-talk is really critical. But I'm not going to get into it now. I have about 15 minutes, but I want to share that piece with you. Okay, I just finished that last meeting. It went really well. It went well. There's a lot of moving parts. It's one thing when, especially like when you're in a startup environment, there's a lot of moving parts happening, and in a lot of ways, it almost feels like throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks and see what doesn't stick. It's a lot of experimentation, which is going to be very, vital to the success of the project. I can't get into too many details about the project because it is confidential, but I will say it is really, at a very high level, it is really going to, when it comes to the future of work and how I said yesterday, things are changing pretty rapidly, and having the tools, especially with AI and everything, it's gonna, what AI is really gonna do, a lot of people are afraid of AI. And I was talking to some college students yesterday about this. A lot of people are afraid of it, but you can't be afraid of it. It's almost like being afraid of the printing press hundreds of years ago because it's gonna just make literacy more accessible. Like, that doesn't make any sense when you think about it like that. So it's really just a tool that's gonna unlock unlock massive productivity, meaning that what took you, let's say, a few weeks to do may take a few days or a few hours to do, or a few minutes. If you think about something like ChatGPT, you can write a whole essay that would take you months to actually put together. Months or weeks to put together can be literally put together in minutes. So what we're seeing here is, like, we have this tool. It's going to be like electricity over time, but right now it's going to unlock so much productivity. That's why it's so important to embrace it rather than be afraid of it. But what you need to become, and what I need to become, and I am becoming, is more of an architect of sorts, of a person that can create the blueprints of what you want to build. That's where it all really makes sense. Because right now, I just look at my own personal AI usage. I'm on like I'm between 3 to 5 different AI platforms. So I'm on Google Gemini, Claude 3, ChatGPT. I use another one called Stillo, and all of them have all different roles. They all have roles. So I'm in between, 4 or 5 different AI agents at any given time, because each one does its own thing. So what's happening now is I'm piecing together different things based off my needs. How do you harness this? And that's what pioneers, that's what innovators are doing right now. They're trying to figure out how do they harness this to unlock that value, capture that value, create that value, and then capture that value as well, so they can keep the engine going. But it's a very exciting time, a lot of momentum around this space, and it's going to affect every single industry and every single vertical. And I'm coming here from the front line, just telling you in real time what I'm seeing, and seeing what way, like my other video, the wind blows. So I have another meeting coming up at 12:30. This one, I might be able to record a little bit of this one because it's for my own personal company. And This is with a company in Ghana, Africa. They're a web development company, and I'm looking to potentially partner or acquire the company for to bring into my portfolio. So we'll see how that goes. It's just an introductory meeting. We're just getting to meet each other. So we're just feeling things out to see if there's any synergy. So I'm going to take a little bit to prepare for that, and then go into that. Sometimes you got to do I'm waiting for this meeting, but I'm sitting here, so I might as well just do some squats as I'm waiting and doing some stretching. Oh God, because it's sitting here, it's not cutting it. One thing I wrote down as I'm waiting for this meeting is this idea just came up. I literally just came up with this idea of writing down, like when you're working in different environments, documenting the red flags. Documenting the red flags. And what that really means is, well, before you can document red flags that you see, you want to be on your best A game as much as possible. No one's perfect. But in order to document, the red flags, in potential partnerships, like right now, I'm waiting for a call, about 8 minutes, but still, I just emailed them. But anyway, documenting red flags, because what happens once you start seeing the red flags, don't take it for granted, because those red flags can turn into an opportunity. There could be system issues within, that you can kind of say, hey, I noticed this, as a pattern starts emerging from these red flags that you see. Don't ignore them. I used to just ignore the red flags and just kind of go with it, but those red flags are telling you something. If there's patterns that start to show up, then you want to document them, because there could be an opportunity for that, because there's a reason why these patterns are emerging, so that you can possibly solve a problem that person may have. So something I just thought about, I don't know, as I was just sitting here, is I actually wrote it down: document red flags. I can give him 30 minutes. So the meeting ended up being a no-show. So I guess we're gonna reschedule. We'll see how that goes. Sometimes, when if there's a no-show or no communication, that's gonna be the scale on whether or not I'm gonna take another call or not. That's the bottom line. If it's okay to no-show, I don't mind that. But no-show and no communication, red flag. So we'll see. I'll let you know if we reschedule it. All right. Okay, let me try this again. Had a little blooper in that last one. But anyway, yeah, I'm about to head into my next meeting, my last meeting of the day. But one of the things that, as I'm sitting here digesting, I have multiple projects happening right now, and it's like the entry point of multiple projects. So what happens is, when you have these projects just like thrown on your desk, if you will, you have this anticipation. What it does sometimes is it clogs up your mind to move forward on it, because there's new, I guess, neural pathways or new neural mental muscles that you have to use to get this one project off the ground. But imagine if you had 2 or 3 of those that you had to get off the ground simultaneously. So what I had to do in that in between time is really begin to stack each project, knowing that I only have a certain amount of energy. So I'm stacking this project, this project, this project, and I'm prioritizing those projects because I'm only going to be able to have so much energy for this one, so much energy for this one, and then so much energy for that one. So it's not like I'm juggling. It feels like I'm juggling. You wanna go from making it feel like you're juggling it to really having like a streamlined system. And it's not always gonna just be like that, but you have to be able to monitor how much energy, or take an inventory, budget, how much energy do you have for each project, and which ones you should prioritize. I usually prioritize my projects based off of cash flow. That's at the end of the day. Which one is generating the most cash flow, and prioritizing around that, because there's already activity happening. There's already revenue generating activities happening. So prioritizing to cash flow, it allows you to put what's first, to make the prioritize what's first. So that's how I look at it. Or if it's not generating cash flow right off the bat, what's the closest thing to cash flow? Because cash flow is the game, and then profit is, you want to be in the profit. But that's how I'm thinking about it before I go into my next meeting. So what I'm doing is just organizing myself around these priorities, so that I know how to deal with each one. Because what happens is you'll get overwhelmed, and I've been in that position. That's why I'm able to speak to this right now, because I've been in this position where I would get overwhelmed. So you have to take the time up front. You got to front load some of the energy to, map out what it is that you're trying to do and how you're going to do it. And then I use different tools, project management tools, to help me manage that project. So I'm either using Trello or Asana, or I'm using ClickUp right now for one of my projects. So, but then even in that, there's a whole, even using these tools, there's a fatigue that comes with that as well. So, there's a lot going on, but the key is momentum and traction, making sure this is like real traction and not just talk. Because, in the beginning of any project, everybody's excited. Everybody just sees the potential in front of them, and it's hard to really see and be grounded into like what's the reality. And that's one of the things that I had to learn to get better at, and not get all excited, pumped for the excitement that comes with a new project. So that's what's on my mind right now. Like I said, this is my last meeting for the day. Then I'm really gonna dive in and continue, to organize myself, and then I'm gonna head home. Okay, I'm not gonna lie right now. I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm just starting on this new project, and this always happens. So this is nothing new. When you start a new project, it just seems like so much information is hitting you all at once, and you're just trying to sort it out. So the byproduct of that is just this feeling of overwhelm. So what I normally do is I'll create a list. I'll write a list down. I call it a to decide list, not a to-do list, to decide, where things that I need to decide, decisions that I need to make to move to the next step. Because usually it's just you're just a decision away, a few decisions away from not being overwhelmed, because everything is new. You just need to be able to quickly filter and focus in on the things that matter. Focus in on I'm sorry, I'm getting some messages. Focus in on the thing that matters, and stripping away everything else, so that you know what the next best decision is. And this is just a series of decisions that you're making. So, yes, I feel overwhelmed, and I'm just gonna share that. I'm sharing that as I'm feeling it. because everyone feels this. They just don't know. Most people just don't know how do you deal with it? Put it in the comments. Let me know when you get overwhelmed. Tell me what you do. I would like to hear some of your suggestions. But that's one of the tools that I use. It's called a to decide list, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty. I actually created like a document that I shared with a friend of mine. That it breaks it down, so it looks at like what decisions you need to make, when you need to make them. It gives you an opportunity to write down like what's the situation that it's in, what are some of the complications, and then what questions arise. It comes with that. So I created my own little system. Maybe I'll create it to share, like in more of a community format. But it's a pretty cool way to eliminate this overwhelm, because that's especially when you're managing multiple projects and multiple client work. So that's how I'm feeling right now. I just thought I would share, but everybody goes through that in the beginning. Everything feels overwhelming. You feel like you're sinking, but you're really not. Your mind is creating this illusion of making you feel like, it's signaling to you like, oh, there's too much, but it's not. You just got to break the work down, and then, like I said, you'll get through it. You get through it. So let me know. I'm curious to know, like, what you do when you feel overwhelmed. Share with me in the comments, and I'll definitely chime in with your comments. Calling it a night. Thank you so much for following me on this journey today. Like I always say, if there's a part of this video that resonated with you, please let me know in the comments. And if you don't feel like writing anything, I definitely understand. Just give me that thumbs up. All right, have a good one.